Tonight, the horrific images, more than 40 people killed in a deadly tornado outbreak, multiple states, and the new storm now coming. The tornado sweeping across 12 states.
Oh my God.
Tonight, here the new images of a devastating EF4, winds up to 190 miles per hour. Hundreds of homes damaged or destroyed. High winds tonight fueling massive wildfires. Tonight, red flag warnings across several states. And now this new cross-country storm set to bring damaging winds again this week. Ginger Z standing by with the forecast. Tonight, the scare at New York's LaGuardia Airport, a Delta jet coming in for a landing. Its left wing hitting the runway before a go-around. Air traffic control telling the pilots. Also breaking at this hour, the hearing late today, a federal judge demanding the Trump administration explain why it defied the judge's order, deporting hundreds, the judge ordering 2 planes already in the air to turn around. The planes landing in El Salvador anyway. The president's borders are tonight saying, I don't care what the judges think. Tonight, the body camera video here for the first time, the moment first responders rescued that stepson who they say had been held captive by his mother for more than 20 years. You will see what they found. Tonight, the missing Pittsburgh college student on spring break and the new interview with that young man from Iowa, believed to be the last person to see her alive. Will he be allowed to leave the Dominican Republic? The high-stakes call now set between President Trump and Vladimir Putin over the future of the war in Ukraine. Tonight, more than a dozen bagpipers injured when their bus crashes into a tractor-trailer after a St. Patrick's Day parade. The 2 astronauts and their long-awaited return home when their voyage home begins in just hours. Tonight, remembering a well-known singer, you'll know the song. Harvard now offering free tuition to many students. And the Irish soda bread scones you saw first right here. You came to the rescue, and tonight, you'll want to see this.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to start another week with all of you at home. We do begin tonight with the horrific images after a massive and deadly tornado outbreak and damaging storms that swept across this country. At least 40 confirmed tornadoes in 12 states, the death toll rising. At least 42 people have died. 2 EF4 tornadoes striking Arkansas. This one striking Jackson County with 190-mile-an-hour winds. The moment a tornado tore through Tylertown, Mississippi, ripping off tree branches, filling the air with debris. Drone video showing the devastation after multiple twisters in the area. Structures turned to splinters, trees, nothing but sticks tonight. In Plantersville, Alabama, 2 men right there standing on the roof of a home that collapsed. And in Talladega County, Alabama, an EF2 tornado with winds 120 miles per hour hurtling this empty school bus on top of a high school gym. And now new evacuations in Oklahoma at this hour, where wind-driven wildfires have now killed at least 4 people and damaged hundreds of homes. Tonight, there's now a new cross-country storm barreling east, bringing damaging winds yet again, and an extreme fire danger at this hour. Ginger Z standing by with the forecast, and Victor Akendo in the storm zone tonight, leading us off.
Tonight, new images of the massive tornado that devastated Jackson County, Arkansas.
Oh my God.
The EF4 with 190-mile-an-hour winds. Just one of dozens reported during a violent tornado outbreak across the heartland.
Oh, man.
Southwest of Hattiesburg in Tylertown, Mississippi, DJ Lane recording this incredible scene as a tornado destroyed his neighborhood. We watched it with him today.
How scary was that moment?
That was one of the most scariest moments of my life, right there.
The devastation from multiple tornadoes in the area goes on for miles. This RV resort leveled. In Plantersville, Alabama, north of Selma, lives turned upside down by an EF3 tornado.
To be honest, you wouldn't think just a wind and tornadoes would do this much devastation.
Anita Owens mourning the loss of her mother, Annie.
She loved everybody. I mean, she loved her kids, her grandkids, her family, her nieces and nephews.
High winds from the same system fueling fires that scorched hundreds of homes in Oklahoma. And tonight, new evacuations for this brush fire southeast of Guthrie. Our Maria Villarreal is there.
The smoke here is thick and heavy, and the winds are blowing at an unbelievable pace. Right now, fire crews are coming from all different areas to try and put out fires that continue to spark just like this.
Wildfires already claiming at least 4 lives in the state.
And David, this just in from the National Weather Service, the tornado that destroyed this RV resort
an EF4 with winds up to 170 miles per hour on the ground for at least 35 miles. These cabins and trailers tossed around like toys. The owner of the resort telling us that some people were trapped inside, but everyone survived. David?
That is good news on the ground for more than 30 miles. That's just extraordinary. Our thanks to you, Victor, and to Maria. Let's get right to our chief meteorologist, Ginger Z. She's now back from the storm zone where she was reporting all weekend. And, of course, Ginger, now millions of Americans on alert again tonight.
Yes, we have not even had a chance to catch our breath, David, and we've got alerts all over the map again. That low pressure system is already in the Rocky Mountains, and that's why you see those winter storm warnings out there. But I want your eye to go to the high wind warnings. New Mexico, parts of Texas, there's also blowing dust advisories there. But 50 million Americans have red flag warnings. Remember, that is fire danger. And so from Kansas City and Iowa back to Texas and Oklahoma too, we're going to have a couple of days with that. I'll tell you about the winter storm watches and the blizzard coming on Wednesday. That's on the top end of this. But look at those gusts, 50 to 75 miles per hour. You pair that with relative humidity as low as 10%, and that's where you're going to get fire problems all the way through tomorrow. Unlike most nights, you're not going to see the winds go down tonight. In Oklahoma, you'll actually see them go up, and that's why we find a level 3 out of the 3, top level extreme fire danger tomorrow. And the blizzard on Wednesday will bring gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour with 3 to 6 inches of snow, going to make visibility really hard. David?
All right, Ginger, we appreciate your reporting all weekend long. We'll see you first thing in the morning. Thanks again. Speaking of the winds, now to the scare at New York's LaGuardia Airport. A Delta passenger jet coming in for a landing from Jacksonville, Florida. Its left wing striking the runway as pilots were lifting back off to go around again. Air traffic control telling them the wing had hit the ground. Here's Trevor Ault.
Tonight, a Delta passenger jet attempting to land at New York's LaGuardia Airport, striking its left wing on the runway, and the 2 pilots on board appeared unaware. Air traffic control pointing out the incident.
Somebody saw some sparks from one of your wings. You guys feel anything?
We did, but we'll check it.
The Delta regional flight arrived from Jacksonville, Florida just after 10 Sunday night. 80 passengers and crew on board. Conditions were suboptimal but not extreme. Winds gusting to 35 miles per hour with some mist in the air. The plane then circling for another landing attempt. In a statement, Delta says the crew executed a go-around, then landed safely and proceeded to its arrival gate, adding, "We apologize to our customers for the experience." Tonight, that aircraft remains grounded at LaGuardia, out of service. There's no immediate indication when it may return to the air. The flight, operated by the same regional carrier involved in this dangerous incident last month, a fiery crash landing at Toronto's airport.
Hey, and David, here in New York, there were no reported impacts or injuries at LaGuardia, but the FAA says it's now investigating. David?
Trevor Ault with us here tonight. Trevor, thank you. Now to the developing headline at this hour. A hearing just a short time ago, a federal judge demanding the Trump administration explain why it defied the judge's order deporting hundreds. The judge had ordered 2 planes already in the air to turn around, the planes landing in El Salvador anyway. The president's borders are tonight saying, "I don't care what the judges think." Here's ABC senior political correspondent Rachel Scott tonight.
Tonight, questions over whether the Trump administration brazenly violated an order from a federal judge after he told them not to deport 261 Venezuelan immigrants to El Salvador. But they did it anyway. The administration claims the men are members of criminal gangs, invoking an obscure law, the Aliens Enemies Act of 1798, which allows the government to deport people with little to no due process and was last used to round up Japanese Americans during World War II. And in an emergency court hearing on Saturday, federal judge James Boasberg asked for more information and put the deportations on pause, saying any plane containing these folks that is going to take off or is in the air needs to be returned to the United States. This is something that you need to make sure is complied with immediately. But by then, 2 planes were already in the air, and they did not turn around. Administration officials claiming those planes had already crossed into international waters. The president of El Salvador, a Trump ally, posting on X, "Oopsie, too late." On Air Force One, President Trump asked if his administration violated the judge's orders.
I don't know. You have to speak to the lawyers about that.
Are you planning to do more deportations?
I can tell you this. These were bad people. That was a bad group of, as I say, hombres.
Today, the president's borders are saying, quote, "I don't care what the judges think."
We're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think. I don't care what the left thinks. We're coming.
The White House press secretary raising questions about whether the judge's orders carry weight because it was delivered from the bench and not put in writing.
There's actually questions about whether a verbal order carries the same weight as a legal order, as a written order.
But when I asked the architect of the president's immigration policy, Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, whether they would comply with a verbal order from the judge, he questioned whether judges have the authority to rule over the president's policies at all.
Is it the administration's understanding that you would comply with the verbal order?
No district court judge who presides over just some small, little geography of the whole country could possibly presume to have the authority to direct the expulsion of terrorists from our soil, who, by the way, are also here illegally. Thank you, everybody.
And David, the administration was back in court tonight in front of that same judge. He demanded to know why the administration defied his order when they tried to make the distinction between that verbal order and the written order. The judge calling that, quote, a heck of a stretch. And there is breaking news here from the White House. Just moments ago, President Trump announced that he is ending Secret Service protection for former President Joe Biden's two adult children, Hunter and Ashley Biden. David, it is not unusual for the adult children of former presidents to receive Secret Service protection for several months after presidents leave office. David.
Rachel Scott live at the White House tonight. Rachel, thank you. Also just in tonight, the newly released body camera video showing the moment a son was rescued after authorities say he was held captive for 20 years by his own stepmother. Video showing her outside the burning home telling a police officer that her stepson was still inside. Police say the son said he set the fire so authorities would come and save him. Here's our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky, tonight.
Tonight, the Connecticut woman who allegedly held her stepson captive for more than 20 years is seen on newly released body camera video. Moments after the 32-year-old set fire to their house, authorities say so they would come and save him.
Who else is in the house? Who else is in here?
My stepson is in here.
The stepmom, Kimberly Sullivan, had placed a frantic call to 911.
Please hurry. It's 2 Blake Street. There's a fire. My stepson is in his room. We needed the ambulance.
When first responders arrived, they said they found a dirty, emaciated man whose hair was matted and unkempt, and his teeth all appeared to be rotten.
One victim right here.
He's 5'9", only 68 pounds, seen here being carried into an ambulance. Court records say the man later told officers he intentionally started the fire in his room on the second floor using a lighter, hand sanitizer, and paper because he wanted his freedom. Police say when they asked him if he was hungry, he answered, all day, every day, my entire life.
Tonight, David, Kimberly Sullivan is free on bail. She's charged with assault, kidnapping, and unlawful restraint, all of which she denies. David?
Aaron Katursky with us tonight. Aaron, thank you. New developments here this evening in the case of the Pittsburgh college student who vanished on spring break in the Dominican Republic. This evening, a new interview now with the young man from Iowa, believed to be the last person to see her alive. And the question now, will he be allowed to leave the Dominican Republic? ABC's Ariel Reshef is there again tonight.
Tonight, the young Iowa man authorities believe was the last to see missing University of Pittsburgh student Sadiksha Kananki is asking to return to the U.S. Lawyers for Joshua Reeby alleging he's been questioned for days without charges, held illegally and surveilled by authorities in his hotel, filing a court motion for Reeby to be released after authorities confiscated his passport. Reeby telling our team in Punta Cana off camera, I just want to go home. When asked about what happened to Kananki, he responded, no comment, but added, it's very sad. Sources confirmed to ABC News Reeby walked officials to the beach outside the hotel where Kananki vanished 12 days ago. All along, the authorities here have said the 22-year-old is not a suspect. Authorities believe Kananki likely drowned. Police confirming these images show her cover-up and sandals found on the beach. Investigators also reviewing hours of CCTV footage, including this video from a bar inside the Riu Hotel, appearing to show the two together.
David, here in the Dominican Republic, officials are not allowed to detain anyone for more than 48 hours without charges. Reeby's attorneys argue that time is up. A judge could rule on his release by tomorrow. David?
Ariel Reshef again tonight. Ariel, thanks. Now to the high-stakes phone call between President Trump and Vladimir Putin. It is now set for tomorrow. Ukraine has already agreed to that U.S. proposal for a 30-day ceasefire. The question now, will Putin agree to this? Our chief international correspondent, James Longman, is in Ukraine for us tonight. James?
David, this will be the first known conversation between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin since Ukraine agreed to that 30-day interim ceasefire. But there's real concern here that Vladimir Putin is just trying to cut Ukraine out of the process, speak directly with Donald Trump and not agree to the ceasefire. Donald Trump has said that he and Putin will discuss land, power plants and dividing up certain assets. But Ukraine says territorial concessions are not negotiable and that it's not up to Russia who gets to join NATO. David?
James Longman in Ukraine for us again tonight. James, thank you. There was yet another developing story as we're on the air tonight. For late details coming in now, here's Juju Chang.
David, word coming in from overseas. Israel declaring the ceasefire is over, launching major airstrikes across Gaza. Dozens reportedly killed. Prime Minister Netanyahu ordering the IDF to take forceful action against Hamas after the terror group repeatedly refused to release the hostages. Israel vowing to ramp up military force against Hamas. Tonight's move comes after President Trump issued what he called a last warning to Hamas to release the hostages. Once again, David, that ceasefire is over. Israel now launching a wave of deadly strikes across Gaza. David?
Juju, thanks. When we come back here tonight, the major headline of this hour involving those two astronauts hoping to finally come home, what we know. Also on this St. Patrick's Day, the famous Irish soda bread scones right here in New York and what you've done. And then the other news tonight, more than a dozen bagpipers injured when their bus crashes into a tractor trailer after a St. Patrick's Day parade. What authorities are saying about this in a moment here. Tonight, those two Starliner astronauts are just hours now away from beginning their long-awaited return home. A SpaceX capsule carrying American astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams set to undock from the International Space Station just after 1 a.m. Eastern. They're expected to splash down off the Florida coast just before 6 p.m. tomorrow night. They were supposed to serve that 8-day mission in space. They've been in space for nearly 10 months now. Let's hope this all goes as planned. More than a dozen people injured when a bus carrying a bagpipe group crashed into a truck in Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania. The bus returning from a St. Patrick's Day parade. Authorities say the bus driver veered off the road, landing in the back of the truck. The victims are expected to make full recoveries. When we come back here tonight, remembering a well-known singer and the song that helped make him famous. To the index of other news tonight, beginning this fall, Harvard says it will offer free tuition for students from families earning $200,000 or less per year. The school will be offering free tuition and housing, food, and insurance for students from families earning less than $100,000 a year. We do have a passing to note tonight. Jesse Colin Young, lead singer of the Youngbloods, has died.
Come on, people now, smile on your brother, everybody get together.
Best known for Get Together, he once said the song was still a thrill to play. His solo career lasting more than 5 decades. He was 83. Conan O'Brien will be making an Oscars encore here on ABC. After receiving high marks earlier this month, the Academy revealing he'll be back to host next year. When we come back tonight on this St. Patrick's Day, the Irish soda bread scones you first saw right here, you came to the rescue. What's happened now to those scones and to the baker? Finally tonight here, America Strong. And on this St. Patrick's Day, the Irish soda bread scones and an Irish blessing. You first met Mary O'Halloran right here, the owner of Mario's Irish Pub. It was 4 years ago at the beginning of the pandemic, and she had to shut down. Her husband couldn't get home from the docks in Alaska because of travel restrictions, and she was home with their 6 children. With the pub closed, she and the children got to work, making meals for frontline workers. She also started making Irish soda bread scones to support the family with her homemade blackberry jam, her mother's recipe from Ireland, thousands lining up, customers sending photos. And after an Instagram post by Humans of New York, the story going viral. Mary offering an Irish blessing. Her regulars helping to carry in the flour, 20,000 pounds of it.
You should see it. It's all over the restaurant.
And 24 hours after our report here, Mary told us she had more than $100,000 in new orders. A new oven arriving to help keep up with demand. World News Tonight viewers from as far away as Las Vegas visiting New York and making sure to stop by to buy her scones.
Hi, David.
Tonight, Mary O. and her message of gratitude.
I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who saw me on America Strong and everybody who ordered the Irish soda bread scones.
And tonight here, 4 years after our first report on Mary, she tells us she's now opened a brand new shop just for her scones. So many new customers helping to get the word out, posting videos of their taste tests. And tonight, Mary telling us she's hard at work baking. and thankful on this St. Patrick's Day.
With a fresh scone out of the oven with butter and blackberry jam. You will love it. There's something about the scones. Thank you, David. Thank you, David.
Well, Mary, we hope the lines grow even longer for those scones baked with a lot of Irish heart. Mary O's Scones. Check them out. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.